Captain. I just wanted to bring up a concern and also an idea I had.
Go ahead.
I know that you are personally invested in this path of perception, and I have my own suspicions on the fact that it might be our best way home. But regardless, I think we would be remiss to not explore other options. So I was thinking of maybe setting up a team in science to look at other options while we're on this path.
Absolutely. That's a terrific plan.
All right.
Uh, did you have anywhere in particular you wanted to start?
I'll admit, time travel is not one of my areas of expertise, but I mean, temporal investigations exist, so we know it's been done before, and we know people have gotten back before, so gathering what we can from those records would be a good place to start, I think.
I think you'll find that many of those records are sealed for safety reasons. Let me see what I can get from the computers using my captain's authorization. And if I find any promising leads, I will pass them along to the science team.
Thank you, Captain.
There
Of course.
is some scuttlebutt that both of you as command level staff in Starfleet would be aware of. That if you approach a sufficiently dense star at sufficiently high velocity and slingshot around it at sufficient velocity, then there have been instances where your exit velocity can be sufficient to throw you backwards in time in a limited way. There's also been reports that if you approach from the spinwards direction of the star, that you can be thrown forward. There is some anecdotal information about this, but very little actually proven science. However, you also have noticed that these chronoton wave fronts can be surfed to some degree. Even though you've inadvertently surfed them, it might be possible to find a way to orientate your warp drives in the correct direction to be able um, to fire off a burst of some sort of radiation which might carry you forwards in time rather than backwards.
Sounds very well. It sounds like a starting place. Let's look into that. Let's see about uh, what kind of chronotons we can generate from our main deflector, uh, or from our secondary deflector if we need that. Um,
Techno bubble, yay!
let's let's see. I'm really not sure about the apocryphal reports about spinning around the sun, but if the folks in the lab can cook something up, then we'll try it. If any pilot can do it, it's Radat.
Agree.
I'll keep looking and seeing if there's anything more promising in my sealed files.
Thank you, Captain.
Is there anything else?
No, that was all, Captain. I just wanted to make sure that in addition to the path of perception, we were exploring all of our options on how to.
Of course, Commander. I appreciate that you came to me to discuss this. I can be a bit blinded about this kind of thing. You know what? All of this has been very stressful. Would you like a game of racquetball?
Always, Captain.
Well, I'll meet you down at the racquetball courts in, say, half an hour.
All right, meet you there.
I'll see you then.
All right. So you have your game of racquetball. Are there any other scenes people wanted to do before we wrap up tonight?
The only other scene I think would be pretty quick, and it's just going to be Seltar greeting Keaton after he gets off shift with a good drink and taking him down to our mess to swap stories about terrible away team missions and letting him know he did good for his first time out.
That's wonderful. All right. Did you want to actually RP that out, or did you want to just let that just sort of hand wave that happened, and that I think there was another thing that Kiten and Celta had as a thing to discuss as well, from memory.
We do. I think that'll end up being a longer one, so I wasn't sure if he wanted to deal with that right now.
Well, we've got about 20 minutes left.
Okay.
Sure. I just don't remember what we are going to talk about.
I believe we were going to discuss the mystery novel. Shoot. It just escaped my mind. Something about the mystery novels you were asking for, because I was going to have you read some.
Oh, right. You're gonna get me some books that you promised, and I tried to acquire some from the Bajo. The their name. Insert species name. Yeah, I think we can do that. Merge what you're thinking before and doing that.
Okay, well then, Drew!
Come in.
No, the door's slide open. No, okay, or can't. Keaton, come on. You can't stay in there. This isn't regulation at all. Come on, to the mess with you.
Uh, you see he pause a few moments and then he opens the door. Commander?
To the mess with you. Come on. You're after you lead an away mission. You're not allowed to stay in your room.
If you say so, Commander. I was just trying to finish that first novel you lent me. It's quite interesting.
Did you find out what they're all guilty of yet?
I'm pretty sure I'm closing on what their crimes.
Oh, don't worry. They're not all crimes. This is Cardassian justice after all.
Oh, the one in the where people are guilty and the trial is just a show. that justice system.
Indeed, the trial is there to help the public come to terms with the severity and terribleness of the crime. Anyway, come along. When we get to that mess, there's a big grouping of my brain just died. Of foods that Keten likes, along with some things to settle Acacian's stomach.
Hmm, interesting. Let's see what you can do then. So, Commander,
Lieutenant?
you dragged me out of my room, I guess. I'm just expecting you to start a conversation.
Ah. Well, I was going to tell you about my first time on a away mission, but I wasn't really leading a squad, so it's not really the same thing.
Hmm, I see. What kind of away mission was it?
Well, do you know the Daystrom Institute on Earth? Big scientific place. You'd probably like it.
Yes, I have been there once before.
They got this thing. They didn't know what it was. It turned out I did. So I got them in contact with some people. And they needed someone to bring it home as it was a little risky to transport.
Did you
So,
explain?
um, no, not at all. This object, a very important person came with me to transport the object to where it went. Not Starfleet. Very awkward. I didn't have a lot to say to the person at the time. He had a great hat, though. Kind of like this orange, tealy thing about this tall. It was very interesting. Anyway, I was the non-decoy shuttle, so we had the artifact with us. And it kind of sort of opened on the way to its destination. And then instead of doing the things the guy who was taking control of it wanted, it kind of zapped me.
Zapped you.
Yeah, apparently it knocked me out for 12 hours or so. Luckily, I had the route pre-programmed. Nothing seemed to go wrong on the shuttle end. I just got to then be put in a room and questioned by a bunch of religious people for a couple days. It was not the best experience.
Huh. Yes, I would agree. I don't think that our experience could be relatable at all. I mean, related to each other.
No, but you actually seemed like you did fairly well with the amount of rowdy crewmen you sounded like you had.
Ah, yes. Hmm. How can I say it? There were some very nervous and talkative people among the group. I won't deny it.
You could say that away mission was like trying to herd cats.
But anyway, I'm glad you almost finished with the book. We're going to have the only other story that I'd have to tell about away missions aren't mine to tell. I think Tyza would be quite upset if I talked to you about how her leadership stints went.
I really agree with that assessment. One day, I think, if certainly would be interested in hearing the accounts from the commander. They are
Sadly, we're a little busy right now. Normally, everyone comes and shares when the newbie gets to have his first taste of actual command.
yeah. Being command was stressful, definitely.
Just wait till the captain and Taizo and I have to beam down when we put you in charge of the ship.
Oh God. Oh yeah, the captain living in a away mission, you say? Ah, you believe the captain is one that would is the type of captain that would not follow recommended guidelines.
Yeah, but things happen. Anyway, cheers to command.
To command in for our return home, that will happen.
It will. There's no way with the science officer we've got we won't get back somehow.
Cheers.
I think that's it for this.
Yeah, they're just gonna waste out.
Yep. Okay. So you guys continue to chat and socialize for a while. Meanwhile, Grax, you are whatever it is that you're doing while this downtime is happening. You start getting a mental tweak, a telepathic hit, saying, "Hello, hello, hello." Like it's not actually the word hello, but it's like your attention is being summoned by the Vulcan Katra arc in your room.
I will quickly ping Kaluk and let them know that this is happening, and then excuse myself and head back to my quarters. And go up to the Ark and be like, "Hey, what's going on, fam?"
The Katra arc says it's been a while. We haven't had an update. We seem to be a little more collected though. There's when I say that we've got one more member of our collective since we last spoke. Um,
Oh,
have,
that's
have, have
that's
we
excellent news.
have we jumped forward in time?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Well, there was that 20-year jump forward from when you first encountered the warp trails.
Shoot, yes, sorry, I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
but didn't we talk to them after that jump?
No, I think it was before.
I will say I'm terribly sorry. Yeah, we've moved forward in time about 20 years apparently.
I see. Interesting. Well, uh, please allow us to introduce our new member. We've given them some sort of briefing on what's going on. They're a little confused, but we've all been working together to try and present a somewhat united front. So what's happening?
Well, we're working on getting back to our own time. It's proving difficult with the and I did catch them up on everything we've learned about the anomalies and um stuff like that basically.
Yep. What about the Bjorn? Are you going to update them on the diplomatic relations with them?
I honestly I don't know how much Grax knows about that. Um being in charge of engineering rather than most of the diplomacy stuff, but as much as Grax knows, happy to share.
I'm fairly sure you would have a viewpoint handed to you by the engineering crew member who was on that mission.
Yeah, cool. I'll share the secondhand information that I have then. Yeah.
Okay. So the Vulcan Katras in that arc say that's quite intriguing. We have not heard of these Carni, but it does sound vaguely familiar. We have heard of a uh, relatively xenophobic race that might match their description. We're just not sure. Nonetheless, I mean, we are monastics. We love exploring the universe, but we do not have the same capabilities uh, as our more militaristic brethren in the Vulcan um, defense initiative. We this is awkward. Um, we have a concern.
Uh, please, what is your concern? I will do my utmost to see that it is addressed.
Uh, these Bjorn, in our time when we encountered them, they were a friendly but suspicious group. Um, they were not empire builders by any means, but they were, how do we put it? Somewhat selfishly curious about the universe.
That does seem to match with the impression that my crew member gathered, that they were more interested in learning about our technology than anything else.
Interesting. Yes, well, look, we advise caution in your dealings with them. They may surprise you with their capabilities. They rarely, on first inspection, give people the full picture of their capabilities.
Fascinating.
Yes, we were intrigued by that, or at least we found the um, that trait to be a particularly interesting one when we learnt of it. Obviously, we haven't met any of these people ourselves, but as individuals, but the Vulcan um, have met these people as time has progressed in the past, and their accounts are not that they're completely untrustworthy, just that they always have their own agenda.
Well, that seems par for the course when it comes to first contact and negotiations, as far as I'm aware. I mean, I can certainly pass along your concern. I'm not quite certain I understand. Without more specifics, I'm not quite certain I understand what actions would be advisable in terms of responding to it.
Just caution. A watchful awareness would be the path that we would advise. Nonetheless, we simply felt that we should pass that on. We are still new to this process of finding our way amongst the stars. We the Vulcan have limited capabilities at I guess you would call it this point in our history. Um, we are warp capable, but not incredibly so. And well, it is it is interesting to discover such things going on in the universe. Um, they mentioned a race known as the Carni. Um, and that they had problematic strictures in place uh, around contacting that race?
They seemed reluctant to assist us in making contact. From the reports, that's pretty much what I know.
And yet they had done deals with this race to make use of some sort of subspace weaponry?
Yeah, we suspect it may be connected to the anomalies, but the nature of that connection is not yet understood.
Yeah, there is clearly some sort of causal relationship, but we cross that bridge when we come to it. These people from the Carney, one wonders what their agenda might have been in trying to see off the threat of these Klingar. It would make sense that this Carney group might have wanted someone else to act as proxies in seeing off a threat of a new species showing military capability in the area of their occupation. But why they would not proceed to clean up their mess, as it were, seems curious. Maybe those subspace systems have some sort of benefit to these Carney. Maybe they use them in
That
their
was
own space.
that was similar to my lines of thinking, although I had not quite reached the conclusion that it was helpful to the Carney. I was still considering the possibility that they simply lacked the technology to safely remove the devices. You raise a good point, and one that I will be certain to mention to our science officer.
Interesting. Well, if our hypothesis is true, you may find that the intensity of the subspace anomalies may be greater in Carney space if that is where you are intending to go next.
I will pass this information on to our helmsman and science officer, certainly. I am curious. You say that you haven't passed the rituals that allow you the clarity of logic that most Vulcans that I am familiar with, for example, would possess. But this is a remarkably insightful conclusion you have drawn.
Yes. Well, while we have not undergone the Kolinar, we have been uh, availing ourselves of some of the teachings via your computer systems.
Interesting. And what have the results been?
A degree of clarity. It has been instructive. We are definitely intrigued by the possibility of this Kolinar. While we have not yet figured out how the ritual works, we are certainly trying our best to practice some of the teachings.
They have, I've found, though my exposure has been somewhat limited of necessity, they have been quite useful, I've found. I'm grateful that it is able to provide assistance to you in such an unsettling time for your collective.
What did you say your race was again?
Oh, Betazoid.
You are. So, the Betazoid also practiced the Kolinar?
No. No, we don't. I was very fortunate and at a rather difficult time in my life, met a very kind and caring Vulcan who was willing to open some of these techniques in order to provide some assistance when I was struggling.
It is good to hear that our people are also generous in your time as well. We pride ourselves on our ability to spread peace in the universe, although some of our people are less inclined in that way.
I've noticed.
Yes. The Brotherhood that refer them to themselves as the Romal, or I think you call them Romulans based on what we've seen in your computer systems. They seem to have broken away and become their own group in your time. But nonetheless, we are all here now, and they have not yet done so. So let us simply say that we have more militaristic and, shall we say, antisocial members of Vulcan society in our time, and we monastic types, we are intrigued by their behaviour, but we do not partake of it. Certainly not lightly. Thank you for the update. We very much appreciate it, Ambassador. We believe that is the term that our future selves bestowed upon you.
It is indeed, though I must confess I always feel a little bit like my mother when you call me that.
You say that if it is a bad thing. Motherhood is a valued trait in our society. Many of us have mother children.
I'm certainly grateful that she made the decision to do so.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. We have no further questions at this time. We do not wish to tear you away from your duties or your free time, as the case may be. Please go in peace and peace and prosperity.
Peace and long life.
Oh, that's a good one. We remember that. And the connection is broken.
And I will immediately report in their suspicions to basically anyone who needs to know it. So certainly Lieutenant Keaton at the helm, and Lieutenant Commander Radat as the science officer.
Or vice versa.
Yes, thank you. I am very tired right now.
That's okay. I know we've started a little late today, so and on that note, I will release you from the obligation to stick around any longer by saying that will be where we'll wrap things up for the evening. Thank you all. It's been a very fun session. Fliss, damn you for making me laugh so hard. And so well played. Thank you, and thank you, LK, for your efforts in translating from English to Portuguese and back with such capability. I know it's not always easy, and we greatly appreciate your efforts in that respect. So, with that said, let's go backwards through our overlay, starting with Grax, then with Ulfrig, LK, Nick, Kirsten, and Fliss. Remind us who you are, where we find you, what you do when you're not here, and we will wrap things up for the night.
Thank you everyone for watching. I am Ulfrig when I'm not here playing Star Trek. You can catch me on Thursday nights over on New to the Party at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, playing in Star Wars, where things are about to get real interesting. We're going to Korriban. It's terrifying. It's going to be awesome. And at the moment, that's pretty much the only place to find me, but we'll see if that changes a little bit in May. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I'm okay. I am only here on Story Bros Twitch channel in this amazing Star Trek RPG. I'm glad that you guys are sticking to watch us, and don't worry, the chief will be disciplined after their exemplary actions in the field.
I'm Nick, Lieutenant Commander Celtar, our Cardassian. I'm at Twitch and Twitter at fell_strike. Currently, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursdays, I'm playing Persona 5 Royale. There's a lot in the game I didn't expect, so I've had fun discovering a bunch of new stuff to a game I really enjoy.
Yes, Kirsten, you.
Sorry, I wasn't sure. Hi, I'm Kirsten. I play Commander Taizo Sheknor, and you can find me on Twitter as well as on Instagram under Kirsten Crafts. Crafts is spelled with K, and on my Instagram, you can see even more of my cats than you already do on this stream.
Wonderful.
Yeah. My name is Fliss. I play Captain Gale Ixa, the Bajoran Starfleet captain, and on rare occasion, Chief Petty Officer Krell. And you can find me on Twitter at RadmissFliss or on Twitch at RadmissFliss. I throw Jackbox parties on Fridays throughout the plague because social distancing is a pain, and it's nice to play games with friends. And I also have a podcast called Faraday, a Star Trek tabletop podcast, which is a lot like this, but with fun pew pew sound effects. Look for it wherever you can find podcasts.
Thank you, Fliss, and thank you for Perel. She's so 1960s Catwoman that it gives me life. So that's all we have for tonight, folks. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate your company. We appreciate the eyeballs, and very much hope that you will come back to us again. We normally stream this at 6 p.m. US Pacific time, and we also run Blue Skies Behind Us, which is our other Star Trek adventure in the same universe. Which runs at 11 a.m. British daylight time. So please feel free to come back to us. That's on Saturdays both days, in the respective time zones. My name's Gemma. I am also known as Story Girl. I stream pretty much 7 days a week when I can, and basically I stream all sorts of stuff, but I also talk a lot about story in particular. Story has a lot of interesting things that it contributes to life, the universe, and everything from my perspective. So I'm always keen to explore that and push the boundaries of what stories can be. And I also have a Patreon, Gemma Hooper Author. Please feel free to support that if you can. And we're now a Twitch affiliate, so you can, as Nick has discovered, subscribe and drop bits to the channel. I do share the proceeds of those things after costs of running this channel to the other people who participate in the streams. So please feel free to support not just myself, but also the other people who join and support me with these RPG games. Should also mention that we have a Discord. We are looking for people who would be willing to both write and play in a pair of new sci-fi RPGs using a system of my own devising, probably, which are set in the same universe at the same time, but one is a space opera game and the other one's more of a gritty frontier cyberpunk slash steampunk game, which will be played out on a single planet. So if you would like to join our Discord, please feel free. I've just dropped the link in there, and on that note, we will wrap up for the night, and I hope you all have a lovely evening. Good night, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Gemma.
Thank you.
Somewhere in between, I think, but it's all good.
Time is a construct. It's lost most of its meaning for me.
Late for dinner. We'll do though, Gemma. I know I at least have long distance and all that on my phone, so it should be easy enough.
Yeah, and I have Google Voice / access to my church's Google Voice, and that does international calls